Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Abby and Mandy's Adventures in Odyssey podcast.
About our art contest, we only had 2 entries, so we will feature both of those entries.
Ruben Bassett from the soda shop entered this picture.
I think he did a great job.
Yeah, me too. He's awesome.
And Photo 14, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from the soda shop entered this picture. He also did really good.
Amazing. If I had to choose between those, I wouldn't be able to.
Definitely here.
Thank you guys so much for entering.
Okay, now let's get on with the interview.
Today the interview is with Jave Griffin, voice of Jimmy Barclay.
Hi, Mandy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, thanks. So, question number 1. Did you have any acting experience before you were asked to be on Adventures in Odyssey?
I had done a little bit of community theater, and that was how I got the chance to audition. Was the woman who ran the community theater, a woman by the name of Martine Craig. She, I believe, went to the same church that Steve Harris did. Could be wrong. And he asked her, knowing that she had a theater with kids in it, she had any kids that might be interested, and she asked me and probably about a dozen other people. So, but that was the extent of my experience, was just some community theater.
Oh,
That's cool.
cool.
That was really, really cool.
Yeah.
I want something like
Well,
that
it
to
was fun.
happen.
That was when I started realizing that I really liked acting a lot, and I think going to the Adventures in Odyssey audition, that was my first quasi-professional audition I ever went to, and I was very intimidated and nervous, but I enjoyed it, and I had a good time, and I guess I did good enough, so.
That's cool. Like, really cool.
Okay, here's question number 2. What is your favorite episode that you starred in?
That's a hard question. I was fortunate enough to be in a lot of really awesome ones, and I was kind of, when preparing for our interview today, I was looking over the list of episodes, and my goodness, I've had quite a few fun ones. Certainly, Someone to Watch Over Me was one of my favorites of all time. The Lincoln episode. I love Aloha Oi. Those were a blast to record. I like different episodes for different reasons. I really enjoyed the Imagination Station episodes, because that, to me, and Someone to Watch Over Me, because it really showed me as a young kid what you could do with the medium of audio drama, and how you take this medium and do anything with it. You can go back in time, you can be as imaginative as you want to be, and so for that reason I really loved Imagination Station episodes. I loved other episodes. The Lawrence episodes were great because I had an opportunity to work with this wonderful young actor, and had a lot of fun with that. And just, I don't know, I've had so many fun episodes. It's hard to pick just one. Terror in the Skies was a fun one.
Yeah, if I had to choose one, I probably just wouldn't be able to. I love them all.
Well, he's a fun character, Mr. Jimmy Barclay is, and and then you have some of, I can remember, there was the Thanksgiving episode, Thanksgiving at Home, I think, where they're trying to cook dinner together, and they're just destroying the kitchen in the process. And, episodes with just the family, if there's a whole reason, I like those as well. And, just a great character. I was very fortunate to have a lot of great scripts and stories to get to work with and play around with, and too many good ones to pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, last night I was listening to the one where you thought you heard your baby brother Stuart say his first word stuff. I was cracking up at that.
You know, I always forget that there's a steward. I always forget that. Because, we spent so many years having there not be a steward, and then he came along right at the very end. I sort of forget that there's a steward now, and I guess he'd probably be about 15 years old.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
That would be right.
That's great. Okay, so...
Someday I hope to meet my brother again.
Yeah. Okay, the third question. What was a memorable moment during your years of working with Adventures in Odyssey?
Oh, I would say probably one of my favorite recurring moments was in between, the way a recording session is set up is they have all the actors assembled and everybody's kind of waiting in the area called like the green room, and there's a table where people have lunch, and they'll come out and they'll bring whichever characters and actors are needed for the first scene. They'll say, okay, we need you and you, come on in. And sometimes when I wouldn't be in the scene, I would get to have the opportunity to hang out with Housemeth, and that for me was always probably my favorite consistent memory, beyond actually being in front of the microphone. Times when I wasn't recording and I had the luxury of getting to be around Al, Edie, and Will, direct, just spending time listening to their stories, and many of them had decades of experience in the entertainment industry, and it was just a treat every day to get to work with them. So that's always my favorite memory, is seeing House sitting there after lunch reading their trade publications. Yeah, that's like my favorite.
Yeah.
In the studio, and Al, he always had this certain chair, and I always agree when I could try to sit next to him. And anytime I could sit next to House, that was a highlight.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, here's question number 4. Who has been an inspiration to you?
That's a hard question. I think in life, I think my inspiration starts probably with my parents. My grandfather is a great inspiration to me. I'm named after my grandfather, and he's still alive. He just had his 86th birthday, and he's a remarkable man who always is finding things to do. He's an inventor. He's an author. He is somebody who takes on new tasks with an energy and enthusiasm. Wakes up in the morning and sets out today, tries to conquer every day. He's somebody I'm proud of. So I'd probably the biggest inspiration is my grandfather. As an actor, I would say probably much too long of an answer, but I do it. It's exciting to see now how fan communities is embracing the internet and taking their love of this show, one step further, and it's just really cool to see. Well, like, where do you guys live in the country?
I'm from Michigan, so.
And I'm from Ohio.
I thought I detected a bit of a Michigan accent.
Yeah.
Growing up, I spent all my summers in Michigan, so I love Michigan dearly. So you guys are Michigan and Ohio. Given where he was from, and it's nice to see kind of people scattered in different parts and corners of the world are all coming together, and it all centers around their love for this show, Adventures in Odyssey, and that's pretty inspiring. That's a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah, like on the ceiling fan, almost everyone that works on there lives in different places. So.
Yeah. Kevin is in McCreary, is in South Carolina, and Garrett Vandenberg is running around all over the place. It's amazing what we can do now online, and it's a nice thing because in the early years of recording Adventures in Odyssey, there was no internet, and I went and I'd record, and I never really got to interact or understand that people listen to the show, and now that the internet allows people to come together and share their love with the program, it's great for the act to get to see the part of it. It's really fun.
Yeah. Like, I've just been looking at how to start with acting. Like my favorite thing in the world to do is to act and voice act and stuff. It's just a lot of fun.
Very nice. How old are you?
I'm 15.
Very nice. That's a good age to start finding the things that you love to do.
Yeah. I'm homeschooled, so I do homeschool performing arts. I've been in a lot of musicals by them, so it's just a lot of fun.
What is that? Is that groups of homeschool kids will get together at a common location? In an area?
There's actually several. There's some in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Grand Rapids, but I do the Lansing, and we just got done with The Wizard of Oz. There was about 100 kids in that one, so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did you get to play?
I was a Munchkin and Ozian.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My mom really enjoyed calling me a Munchkin because I'm taller than her, so.
Hey, as long as you make it believable, that's all that matters, right?
Right, yeah.
If you believe you're a Munchkin, you can be a Munchkin.
Right.
That's the number one goal as an actor, is believe it. If you believe it, it's real,
Yeah, yep. Okay. Do you still listen to Adventures in Odyssey regularly?
No, I don't. In fact, I never listened regularly because at the time growing up, I always found it very hard to find on radio.
Yeah.
And I would get episodes sent to me, I would get collections sent to me, and so I would listen to it that way. And then after Jimmy got written out of the show, I think at that point I was about 20 years old, and my interests took me in other ways, but now that, and also it's sort of hard for me sometimes to listen to performances that I've done. I'm too critical of it. I'll sit there and I'll listen to a scene and be like, oh, I wish I'd done that differently.
Yeah.
So I kind of listen to it with a different ear than most fans do. They can enjoy the episodes a little bit better than I can. I get a little too critical sometimes, but my children have Jimmy Barclay in it, and when it didn't have Jimmy Barclay in it, I was like, hey, why isn't Jimmy Barclay in this episode?
Yeah.
And now, of course, there's just so many episodes.
Yeah. There's a bunch.
Yeah, they just recently got 700 episodes.
That is a great deal of episodes. That's so hard for me to even wrap my mind around, because, my first memory of episode 2, and then I got called back in a week later to episode 3 and 4, and I can remember when I went in, I saw past like the 100 episode mark. It's amazing to think that there's 700 episodes in. I can't even. Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a very, very blessed program, and I'll say that I think it's because there's such an incredible fan base, such a loyalty that fans have to this program. Shows don't work unless people enjoy them and love them, and it seems that fans of Adventures in Odyssey are just so dedicated to the program that, now 25 years later you have those original kids who listened or showing the show or playing the show to their children now, and a whole new generation is getting interested, and it's really exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
And it'll keep the show going. Maybe they'll reach 1,000 episodes. I believe it.
That would be sweet. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, here's question number 6. Do you and the actor who played Lawrence still talk to each other occasionally?
Unfortunately, we don't. The nature of, and I imagine that this sort of answer will be a bit disappointing to some people. For the experience of recording, very much a working environment, and typically the only time I ever got to talk to or speak with or interact with any of the other actors who played the characters was when we were recording. And when you're done recording, you just kind of go back on with your life. So I spoke with him several years ago at I believe, when we taped the Triangled Web episodes. They called him while we were in studio. And I think he's married now and he has some kids and seems to be quite happy. And we spoke for a couple of minutes. But that was probably the first time I've spoken to him in 10 years at that point.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so it's the great chemistry and friendship we had was, it's something you experience in the studio, and it's one of the, I don't know if you experienced this when you were doing the play, but sometimes the acting experience, it brings people together and that have never met before, and while you're together, you're having a great, great time. And then it winds down and it comes to an end and everybody goes their separate ways, and hopefully you get to meet up again on another project or another episode, but the nature of the business is sort of a fluid experience. You enjoy the time you have with people while you have it, and then, you move on, sort of like summer camp.
Yeah. Like, actually Wizard of Oz, was once in a while we have shows where, we'll all, feel like this complete family, and then we have to go and stuff, and Wizard of Oz is one of those.
Exactly, yeah. It's very much that. The time that you spend together it can be really intense, and you get really close with people, and then all that comes out in the performance, and then the day comes to an end, and it's time to go home, and I remember every day I would finish recording an episode, as my mom would be driving me home, I'd be thinking, wow, I hope I get to do that again so I can see those guys.
Right, yeah, it's like, man, I hope these people audition next year and them and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I'll say too, that was one that was very hard, and when they finally wrote Jimmy Barclay out of the show, I knew that I wasn't going to get any of these actors again. that was why it was so sad for me. On the one hand, I wouldn't get Jimmy, but really, on the other hand, I would see all these people I had come to know and love over 10 years. That's just the nature of the business. That's just how it goes. And, especially when you're a kid, too, you don't quite have the opportunity to maintain a lot of friendships outside of the studio, but they're all wonderful people, and we do interact a bit online, and there's a lot of love in the cast.
Yeah. I'm sorry to miss the Wizard of Oz show again.
No?
Okay. So, question number 7. If you could go to any time period or anywhere in the imagination station, where would you go?
Oh, that's such a tough question. Because I love history, and I'm working on a new audio series now that's about time travel.
Oh, yeah, we heard about that.
What's that?
We heard about that on the website.
Yeah, so that's actually that whole series is inspired by what I did with the imagination station. It's hard to pick. There's so many places I would want to go. I think I would have loved to, there's a moment in one of the episodes where Jimmy very briefly gets to travel with Lewis and Clark. But I would have really loved to have seen Lewis and Clark see the Pacific Ocean for the first time. I think that would be a really fantastically interesting moment. I'd be interested as somebody who enjoys American history. I would have enjoyed seeing the writing and the construction of the Declaration of Independence. Would have been fascinated to be a room while that was being made, written and philosophized on. I would have been interested to see, go even further back, way back in American history, to see the Anasazi culture, First Nations peoples, and we don't know too much about them anymore. They didn't leave any written language information about who they were. I would have been fascinated to see how they organized their society, culture. Would like to have been at Kitty Hawk to see the first plane take flight. That would have been a good place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Or I would like to be in the capsule with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong as they're about to land on the moon for the first time, and how tense and exciting it must have been. That would have been pretty. That would be a good place to take Imagination Station.
Yeah, I love history, so it'd definitely be hard for me to pick something.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of audio theater is you can go anywhere and do anything, and it's the beauty of the theater of the mind. And certainly that's something that the team at Alien Fan and I are working on, is trying to make something really imaginative and for people who like history and science fiction, and hopefully while we can't possibly live up to the expectations of the Imagination Station, hopefully we can still have some fun.
Yeah. The main thing is to have fun with stuff. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's the last question. If you were to make up an episode where Jimmy comes back, what would it be like?
I'd like to see Jimmy Barclay move back to Adventures in Odyssey. I'd like to see him start working at Wits End. And now that he's a bit older, he's, able to help out some of the younger kids. And I'd like to see Jimmy fall in love and maybe get married and have a kid. I think it'd be funny to see Jimmy Barclay as a young dad or as a nervous guy falling in love. Getting those wedding jitters, I think it would be fun to take the character to sort of the grown-up time in his life as he's discovering himself as an adult, and I think it would be all the fans who grew up with Jimmy Barclay over the years, and now they're at that age where they're getting married and having kids. And if I could bring Jimmy back, that's how I'd do it.
Yeah, that would be cool. I want an episode like that now.
Well, you gotta write him and tell him maybe they'll bring me back someday. I think Nathan Hoogler's always saying, you know, we're always thinking of the Barclays, and I know that if ever it were to occur, all they'd have to do is call and jump at it.
Yeah. I'm going to do that.
Start a revolution to bring back Jimmy Barclay, yes.
Yeah.
Start a petition.
Well, now, if I may ask you guys a question, how did you start hearing about the show?
Well, for me, Abby introduced me to it with the Greenway Conspiracy. So.
Very nice. So you're kind of new to it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very nice. And how are you guys friends? You live in different states.
Well, you say this one, Abby.
Okay. I used to live in Michigan, and we met through some homeschool group stuff. And we found out that we liked a lot of the same stuff, and we became friends. And then my dad got a job down here in Ohio, so we had to move.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was actually sort of like Jimmy, because my dad got a pastor job down here, so we had to move from where we had lived for years.
Oh, that's hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I moved as a kid, that was very hard to leave my all my friends, and that, I remember the Broken Berry Falls episode, that was hard to know that things are changing, but that's awesome that you guys were able to stay in contact and share adventures and odysseys with each other.
We would, like, talk on the phone every single day, like, what's new from a few hours ago, stuff like that.
It's what friends are supposed to do.
Right.
I used to do that with my friends, and I'm old now. I'm in my 30s, and my buddies and I, we talk on the phone all the time like that. Sure. Do you have any questions?
That is all for us.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm very happy to talk with the band always, and thanks for listening. It's fans like you guys who love the show so much and keep listening that it makes the show keep going, and keep spreading the word and telling all your other friends about this great medium of audio theater, about this awesome show called Adventures in Odyssey, and especially about the great character of Jimmy Barclay.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for just doing this interview. Awesome.
Well, thank you for asking me. I appreciate it.
Well, that's it for this episode of Abby and Mandy's Adventures in Odyssey podcast.
Thanks for joining us. And don't forget, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free to contact us.
Bye.